Picture this. You buy a sprawling, centuries-old chestnut grove in the misty, emerald green hills of Galicia, Spain. You imagine crisp autumn mornings, gathering glossy brown nuts, roasting them over an open fire, and selling them to charming local markets while living out the ultimate European pastoral retirement dream. It sounds like a perfect, stress-free escape from the corporate grind, right? Wrong. The reality of this industry will shatter that romantic illusion faster than a late spring frost. Because beneath the canopy of those majestic, ancient trees lies a ruthless, hyper-competitive, and brutally fragile economic machine. You are not in the business of selling cozy winter snacks to tourists. In reality, this is not a quaint farming hobby. You are managing a high-stakes, multi-generational commodity export operation, fighting against global supply chains, microscopic fungi, and the relentless ticking clock of agricultural decay. To survive in the Galician chestnut trade, you have to understand that this market is ruthlessly divided. Not all nuts are created equal, and your entire business model depends on which of the 4 distinct market segments your crop falls into. First, you have the bulk industrial market. These are the small, imperfect, or slightly damaged nuts. They are destined to be ground into gluten-free flour, mashed into generic commercial purees, or even sold as premium animal feed for high-end Iberian pigs. The volume in this tier is massive, but the profit margins are razor-thin. You make absolute pennies per pound, relying entirely on massive industrial scale to keep the lights on. Second, there is the fresh seasonal market. This is the chaotic, highly perishable window right around autumn and the winter holidays. Street vendors roasting chestnuts in Madrid, Paris, and London depend on this supply. The margins are significantly better here, but the risk is absolutely terrifying. You have a window of mere weeks to harvest, sort, and ship before the product literally rots in transit. Third, we enter the luxury sector. This is the realm of the marron glacé, the candied chestnut. This is where the real wealth is hiding. High-end confectioners in France and Italy demand massive, perfectly symmetrical, flawless chestnuts that peel easily and maintain their exact structural integrity. If your grove produces these specific, elite varieties, your profit per pound can skyrocket by 300 to 400% compared to the bulk market. But these luxury nuts require obsessive horticultural care, perfect weather, and aggressive pruning. Finally, the fourth segment is completely independent of the harvest itself. It is the timber and agrotourism model. Chestnut wood is highly valued in Europe for premium furniture and construction. And the pristine, ancient forests of Galicia are increasingly monetized through ecotourism, hiking trails, and rural cabin rentals. The smartest owners do not just pick one of these lanes. They build a diversified financial portfolio out of all 4 to hedge their bets. But let us say you want to jump in. You look at the real estate listings in northwestern Spain and think the land prices look incredibly reasonable for European property. That is the trap. The purchase price of the land is merely your admission ticket to a grueling financial marathon. The hidden entry costs are what actually bankrupt the romantic outsiders. First, consider the topography. Galicia is visually stunning, but it is incredibly steep, rugged, and densely terraced. You cannot just drive standard commercial farming tractors up a mountainside. You are paying a massive premium for specialized, tracked harvesting equipment and pneumatic chestnut vacuums. And if the land is too steep for machines, you face an even bigger nightmare. Rural Spain is facing a massive demographic crisis, meaning young agricultural labor is almost non-existent. You will pay exorbitant, premium daily wages to import seasonal harvest teams willing to hand-pick nuts on dangerous, slippery slopes in the freezing autumn rain. Then, you face the silent, invisible killers: chestnut blight and ink disease. These are microscopic, soil-borne pathogens that have wiped out entire generations of European forests. You are not just buying peaceful trees, you are buying into an ongoing biological war. You must invest tens of thousands of dollars into preventative soil treatments, fungicide application, and replacing dead century-old trees with expensive, newly engineered, disease-resistant hybrid rootstocks. But the most shocking hidden cost hits you the second the nuts fall to the ground. Chestnuts are not like walnuts, almonds, or pecans. They are roughly 50% water. From a biological and logistical standpoint, they act much more like fresh fruit than a stable tree nut. If you leave them sitting in a warm, unventilated barn, they will mold, ferment, and spoil in a matter of days. Therefore, you must instantly invest massive capital into commercial-grade cold storage. We are talking about highly calibrated refrigeration units, water-curing tanks, and humidity-controlled warehouses, just to keep your inventory alive long enough to negotiate a sale. Most newcomers completely fail to factor in the terrifying cost of the industrial infrastructure required to run what looks like a simple, medieval farm. This brings us to the core economic paradox of the Galician chestnut industry. It is the counterintuitive truth that governs absolutely everything you do. It is the paradox of time. It takes 20 to 30 years of patient, unyielding, profitless investment to grow a mature tree capable of yielding a premium luxury crop. You wait multiple decades to create the product. But the precise moment that product detaches from the branch and hits the damp Galician soil, your decades of patience transform into sheer panic. You have less than 72 hours to gather, wash, sort, and freeze that crop before its economic value plummets to absolute zero. The longest long-term investment in modern agriculture instantly becomes the most frantic, high-stress short-term logistics crisis imaginable. You are managing a biological asset that measures its lifespan in centuries, but you are forced to extract its entire financial profit in a microscopic window of days. If your truck breaks down or your cold storage loses power on day 3 of the harvest, the previous 30 years of growth mean absolutely nothing. To see how this paradox is solved in the real world, look at the historical evolution of cooperative farming models across the Ourense province. According to historical agricultural reports, for generations, independent Galician farmers operated in isolation. They managed small, fragmented plots of land and rushed to sell their raw, unprocessed nuts to corporate middlemen at rock-bottom commodity prices before they could rot. The local farmers absorbed 100% of the agricultural risk, while foreign processing companies in France captured all the lucrative profit margins. But a massive economic shift occurred when these fragmented growers stopped competing and began forming localized vertical integration networks. Instead of panicking to sell raw nuts before they spoil, hundreds of small-scale owners pooled their capital together. They built shared, multi-million-dollar, state-of-the-art sterilization, peeling, and deep-freezing facilities right there in the mountains. By doing a traditional water-curing process, peeling the nuts with automated steam machines, and freezing them instantly, they fundamentally changed their business. They stopped selling a highly perishable raw ingredient on a ticking clock and started selling a stable, value-added industrial component that could be stored for over a year. They flip the script entirely. Many industry experts note that this transition from simple raw agriculture to localized, collective industrial processing is the only reliable way to capture and keep real wealth in the modern European chestnut market. You cannot just grow the food, you must own the machinery that preserves the food. So, what does the actual cash flow look like on a year-to-year basis? Because this is agriculture, your meticulously planned financial spreadsheets are at the complete mercy of environmental variables entirely out of your control. In a remarkably good year, the economics can be truly staggering. Imagine a year with perfect spring pollination, 0 late frosts, adequate summer rain to swell the kernels, and a dry, cool autumn for a perfectly timed harvest. The trees drop massive, blemish-free chestnuts. Fungal disease rates are basically non-existent. Global supply is tight, and demand from the luxury confection sector is soaring. In this scenario, a well-managed, mature grove can yield thousands of pounds of premium product per acre. You can easily secure top-tier contracts, pay off your seasonal labor force with cash to spare, and reinvest heavily in land expansion and advanced sorting lasers. During a bumper crop, it feels like you are literally printing money from the forest floor. But then comes a bad year. And bad years are financially devastating. Imagine a severe, prolonged summer drought, which is becoming increasingly common due to shifting climate patterns. The trees survive, but they go into biological lockdown. They produce tiny, shriveled nuts that fail every single quality inspection for the fresh or luxury markets. Your entire premium crop is automatically downgraded to the bulk animal feed market, instantly wiping out up to 80% of your projected revenue for the year. Or worse, an unseasonably warm and torrential autumn rainstorm triggers a massive fungal outbreak right as the nuts hit the ground. They rot and ferment in the mud before your crews can even bag them. In a bad year, you do not just break even, you hemorrhage cash rapidly. You still have to pay the property taxes, the aggressive disease treatments, the facility maintenance, and the skeleton crew of year-round labor. You can lose tens of thousands of dollars purely because the rain stopped falling in August instead of September. When you strip away the romanticized fog of the Spanish mountains, the true nature of this industry becomes razor clear. Owning a chestnut grove in Galicia is not about escaping into a peaceful communion with nature. It is about engaging in a high-stakes race against it. It is the ultimate exercise in patience and panic, where you spend a lifetime quietly growing a legacy, only to fight a ruthless war for its economic survival every single autumn.